I think it's starting with having clear KPIs and backing into those from data-driven analysis. I think as we rolled out this model at Codecademy in particular, I think we've talked a lot about our partnership. I didn't go in the room with the CFO and the CEO by myself. My team was there, and you were part of my team, and you were there as well.
We're so thrilled to have Robin Zucker here to join us to talk about her role as a CMO over her career, the role of a fractional CMO, which is what you're doing now, and your perspective on measurement, attribution, and those thorny problems that we all face. So thank you for being here and welcome.
It's great to be here. My pleasure.
So Robin, you and I know each other from way back. Can you remind me where we first started this journey?
Just about 20 years ago. Give or take a few years or months at Yahoo.
Give us a reminder of your role at the time and then your arc in your career.
Yeah. I don't know at the exact moment we met, but I spent 10 years at Yahoo, started on the B2B side. So everything from partnerships to performance marketing to communications to product marketing. Around year 8, I moved to the consumer side to start our social media practice. So really to think about the landscape of social media at the time as more than just fans and followers, but how do we prioritize it for our brand? How do we enable others in the company, not just marketers, but really building out a center of excellence? So I've tended to be kind of one step ahead of where the industry is at in terms of like doing what hasn't been done yet, which has been fun.
And I've been honored to be able to be part of that journey as a customer. You've been one of our customers at Slingwave from early days, as well as my previous startup, Pipewave, and we worked together at Yahoo. I've also seen the things that you've done have been very multifaceted and changing. So in that arc of your career, as you've been in marketing and a CMO, what has changed, I think, in terms of the fundamental role of that CMO?
I think the roles changed from being one of just communications and messaging and not hard-driven results, like assumed results. Yeah. I think there's a pivot with all of the performance marketing that really came from Yahoo, where I think sometimes there was over-indexing in marketing on performance. So I think now we're in this middle ground where it's performance, it's storytelling, but it's like, how do you translate that into value creation? How do you translate your investments into value creation?
As a fractional CMO, how is a fractional CMO defined? Tell us about what that role means.
Well, it's similar to a CMO. You're doing the same functions, but you're going into a company that might not need you full time. Maybe they can't afford you full time, but they want to have that level of experience to come in and either pull together the leadership team. So I tend to work closely with the CEO, other members of the leadership team. Just like when I was doing social at Yahoo, it was across the company and across the functions. Marketing today has really evolved to not just sit in the corner of like communication and storytelling. It really is a key driver of the business and growth. So I come in looking across the functions, looking at what marketing is responsible for to help define what that is. In some cases, it could be looking at how the marketing organization should be structured, hiring those people, hiring the future leader. In some cases, there's companies that don't need a full-time CMO, but they can benefit from the expertise and guidance of a senior leader to come in and help build that team and then coach and mentor from there.
Great. And your experience in recent history, I know you've worked at large organizations. Tell us about the alignment challenge you have between marketing investment, marketing objectives, finance, business results. How do you manage that? What have you seen as that dynamic?
I think if you can lead with data, that's always helpful. So get in early, share with the teams what you're going to do, what your approach is, how you're going to measure it. Because it's really easy to end a conversation on, we surpassed our numbers by 20%. Somebody might still have an opinion, because I think the challenge of a marketer is everybody's a marketer. Everybody gets an email, everybody sees an ad.
Right.
And so there's always a lot of opinions. It's one of those functions that everybody thinks they can do it, but it's nuanced. Right. And so more and more, I think marketing leadership is is leaning on growth and driving that growth and influencing the product to grow, the sales to grow, and so forth. So a lot of my focus is, especially when I get investments in media or other places, is always translating that from the marketing vernacular into business language, so that the CEO, the board, the CFO understand the value that marketing is creating to drive the business.
And the brand versus performance piece. So how have you seen that interplay change, and what's the challenges there?
Yeah. I mean, for me, growing up at digital first companies, performance and data have always been in my DNA, but also spending a lot of professional time at a company like Yahoo, brand was always infused. They were never separate to me. Whatever we did, even if it was performance oriented, still reflected in our brand. And brand isn't, I think some people think of brand as like TV spots, which are great and I've done, or other things that are not as measurable as paid search.
Right.
But everything that you do, from your website to your blog posts to how your sales team goes out and speaks, is your brand. And so that having that as a starting point is really critical to tell your story. One thing that's been really empowering, specifically when I was at Codecademy, we did move to, multi-touch attribution, which enabled us to unlock investment up the funnel in areas like YouTube or video. And that enabled us to better tell our story and build our brand, because we didn't have an expectation from someone seeing that video that they were going to click and immediately convert. We knew that they would see the video, maybe see another one and see another ad, or see a blog post and then convert. But we understood in that path to conversion that piece of media had an impact on their conversion.
That's near and dear to our heart. We have seen how working together, there was a triangulation effect of the multi-touch, media mix modeling, experiments. Can you talk about, it's obviously a complicated world of measurement. How do you, as a marketer, explain all of those different elements to your organization? What's most helpful to be able to, justify and prove what is happening in market?
I think it's starting with having clear KPIs and backing into those from data-driven analysis. I think as we rolled out this model at Codecademy in particular, I think we've talked a lot about our partnership. I didn't go in the room with the CFO and the CEO by myself. My team was there, and you were part of my team, and you were there as well. The models are sophisticated, so making sure that there's really a clear understanding from, all the folks that make those decisions. So definitely leading with data, getting that comfort and buy-in from key stakeholders early.
Yeah.
Education, and it's not like a set it and forget it, where it's like you agree that this is the right way to proceed. So it's going back and updating and continually refining the model and letting them know what the impact is, so that we can continue to keep those investments going and unlock more investment as we go.
As you look at the future, we know things are constantly evolving into walled gardens. Amazon's more important. Facebook and Google are as important as ever. What are you excited about in your fractional role? And what do you think are some of the challenges that we have yet to properly tackle?
Excited as I go into companies that are not as sophisticated as they need to be. They're just scaling up their marketing efforts. It's giving them the foundation of the right measurement, because with that and that agreement and building on that, a lot gets unlocked. I also think, there's a lot of discussion around brand and organic growth and better measurement there as well. So, we did a fair amount of that, even at Codecademy, where, things like our blog, we knew they drove revenue. And when we wanted to unlock more, we translated that into a language the CEO and the CFO could understand, so we can get that investment. So that could be the example of, or even like with our TV spot, we were in the middle of finalizing it. We got acquired. Every line item of the budget was being looked at.
Yeah.
We had a dedicated brand budget that we were going to look at differently, still measure differently than performance. And we were slowing things down a bit, but, we had identified that YouTube was a very underutilized channel for us, under-indexed in terms of like how we were using it, had a lot of incrementality. And so we were able to make the case now to the new CFO of a publicly traded company that if we invest X in this TV spot, that would not only unlock kind of our brand story, but unlock a channel that needed more appropriate content to tell our story and then ultimately drive conversions.
Last question. Where do you think AI plays a role? Is it there in the future? Or are we here to stay?
I think it's here to stay. I mean, it's been here, right? I think it's just in the last year with generative AI and large language models, it's a different level, but it's been powering so much of it powers Codecademy, right? I mean, It powers like a lot of things. I don't think it's going anyplace. I see it enabling people and enabling people to have superpowers, right? So whether it's data analytics, you're not just going to set it and forget it. You still need the human touch.
Yeah.
Creative, testing, all these other things. It's definitely needed. It was every place, whether it was at CES, whether it was, the marketing conversations. If you walk the floor at CES, it was powering the semi trucks, it was everything. So I don't think it's going anyplace. It's just how do we use it and how does it evolve? But I think it was a theme for me.
Oh, interesting.
Because every panel I went to, every discussion I had, artificial intelligence is important, but human intelligence has to drive it. And I think the interaction and the conversations we have are still important. And I think events in general, are going to be really important, especially for B2B. I think after, a few years of hibernating due to COVID and coming out of COVID, I think people want to be together.
I feel it. I
and
agree.
Share.
Yeah. How can people get a hold of you? I think you have several organizations that you've started and or part of. So it's the best way to get in touch with you.
Well, my business is called the CMO practice. I'm the founder and principal. So it is a fractional CMO practice. So partner with companies and bring others. So you can either go to CMOpractice.com or robinzucker.com. Also an advisor to a group called the CMO List, which brings together senior marketing leaders just to share insights, compare notes on marketing stacks, agencies. So it's another place to check me out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.